there, Stampers. This is Sherry Roth. I'm a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Alberta, Canada, and I'm here today to share this cute card with you using some of the fabulous Celebration products. So we are going to use the Thoughtful Blooms stamp set, which you can earn for free with a $60 purchase until the end of March. The Blossoms, I believe it's called the Blossoms Punch, which coordinates with this stamp set. This you can earn for free with a $120 purchase. And then we are going to use the Stitched So Sweetly dies. Now this you can purchase as a bundle with the So Sentimental stamp set. But for this particular project, we aren't using the So Sentimental stamp set. We are just using the Stitched So Sweetly dies. I love these dies. Anything with stitching, I love. And when they're label shapes like this, like stitched or scalloped rectangles, and then with stitching, and then a variety of label shapes, they are so versatile. You can use them for pretty much anything. So we're using that as well. And then the last newer product that we're using is the Pleased as Punch DSP. So this DSP is one of the coordinating products. It's available beginning February 4th and while supplies last, and it coordinates with Celebration and mini catalog products. So here, this beautiful heart pattern, this coordinates with one of the heart punches in the punch bundle that is in the mini catalog. Look at this fabulous stripe. Love this stripe. This coordinates with the Tulip Builder punch from the mini catalog. And then there's that one, and then we'll flip it over. This coordinates with the umbrella punch that's in the mini catalog. We've got some green there, and then this coordinates with the blossom punch that we're using today. Okay, so this will be available. You get 3 sheets each of these 4 patterns, and I will have a full supply list in the description below of the video, but we are using a little bit of that striped pattern because that is my favorite pattern. Love it. So I'll set the card here, and we are going to start. We're going to do our stamping first. So I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock that measures about 2 inches by 3 inches. And I'm going to use some Memento ink, and I'm going to stamp the greeting from the Thoughtful Bloom set. It says, I'm always amazed but never surprised by your thoughtfulness. I love that greeting. It's so nice. Make sure I have my stamp going the right way. And I'm going to stamp it kind of closer to the top, but a little ways down, if that makes sense. Because you can see that we want a little bit of space for our bow up at the top, but then we need space for our flower at the bottom. Okay, so that looks good. And then while I've got my ink out, I'm going to take my card base, which is a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of thick Whisper White cardstock, and it's scored at 4 1/4. Just need to grab my bone folder. So this is going to be our card base, and I'm going to take the greeting that says thank you. It's also from that Thoughtful Bloom stamp set, and I'm going to stamp it right there. Okay, so that's all that I need for the black. Now we are going to pull in the Big Shot, and then we'll do some more stamping. So for this one, I need to cut my scallop rectangle. So this is the size, I believe. Yep, that's the size that I need. And then I'm also going to emboss a piece of Coastal Cabana cardstock that measures 4 by 5 1/4. So I'm going to do both of these things. Okay. All right, so I've got my Big Shot here. Oh, that's quite the glare. I'll just move that up for a minute. Okay, so I've got this pink layer underneath here. For those of you who might be wondering why I have it there, is I actually was noticing I just replaced my pads, or one of my pads, because I have one that's marked top, one that's marked bottom. Once the bottom one gets really, really marked up, then the top one goes to the bottom and I replace it. Well, I just replaced my top pad, and it must have been a newer pad that I replaced it with, because things weren't cutting quite as well. So it must have been just a bit thinner than the older pad that I was using. So all I did was I took a half a sheet of cardstock and added it underneath my my bottom plate. So this is just a piece of Melon Mambo, half a sheet of cardstock, and it just acts as a shim, and now it cuts perfectly every time. I only need to feed it through once. So if you have problems with anything, try that and see if that makes a difference. Okay, so now we are going to switch out the pads, and we are going to bring in just the regular platform. And this is our old dynamic style folder. So all I need, it's a little bit thicker, so all I need is just one clear plate and then pass it through. If you have the new subtle embossing folder that says 3D, or that's 3D on it, then what your sandwich layer will be is that platform, your embossing folder with your cardstock, and then this blue plate, okay? All right, so we will take this out and move the big shot out of the way because we are done with that. Okay. All right, so let's finish up our stamping here. Let me bring the card sample back so you can see it. Okay, so I've got another scrap of Whisper White cardstock, and I am going to use Blushing Bride, and I'm going to stamp my flower in the center. I could also use this DSP and punch out one of the flowers from, which pattern is it? From the back of this striped paper. So I could use, there's Blushing Bride flowers on here, so I could use the punch and punch out one of those, but I chose to stamp it to save on that paper. And then I'm going to take the coordinating punch and just slide it in like that and punch it out. And then I will use my bone folder, and I just want to give it a bit of dimension so it looks like the flower is coming off the page. So I'm just curling up the edges of the ribbon just a little bit. Now we're going to take the leaf and we're going to take some Granny Apple Green. All the colors that I've chosen are colors that are in this paper pack. So I'm going to take the Granny Apple Green leaf and stamp one there, re-ink it, and then stamp another one like that. Okay, and then I will use a mini glue dot and just add that to the back of my flower and put my flower on there. And then I'm going to take some of the sequins. Now this is another item. You get this and 2 spools of metallic baker's twine. This one, and I believe it's a Bermuda Bay color, as a free item with a $60 purchase as well. I'm gonna grab my tweezers. Actually, let's grab my take your pick tool. And I'm going to pick out just one of these little yellow pieces, and we'll use another mini glue dot to stick it on. So I'll just pick up that. There we go. And then in the center of that, I'm just going to add one of our small pearls. And that just finishes it off nicely. There we go. I've gone ahead and I've tied a bow using that metallic trim, or metallic baker's twine. And I'll use another mini glue dot, except this one I'm going to kind of fold in half because I don't necessarily need that full circle bit. And I'll just put that knot right on there. So there's our focal point image. So now let's assemble the rest of our card. Oh, actually let's do our stamping on the inside first. Let's grab that flower again. And I'm just going to stamp a few of these. And then I'll add some leaves just to dress it up. You could also stamp your envelope as well if you wanted to. While you've got your stamps out, you may as well. It's It's always nice to have a coordinating envelope. I'll do a couple. I won't re-ink that, so we get a little bit of variegation. Okay, and then we'll do one down here. All right, so then the inside of my card is done. And then let's assemble. So I've got my embossed piece of Coastal Cabana, and I'll just add a little bit of adhesive. I like to use Tombow or our multi-purpose glue. It sticks so well, and you need just a very little bit, and it gives you the flexibility of being able to move things around for a few seconds after you place it down if you need to. All right, and then I'm going to take this piece of Granny Apple Green. This piece measures 1.5 by 5.5. So it is going to go right the full length of the card. So it's going to be a little bit longer than our piece of Coastal Cabana. So I'm just putting it on there, lining it up with the top and the bottom so that it's an even distance from the right-hand side. And then I've got a 1/2 inch by 5.5 inch strip of that fabulous striped paper. Add a little bit of adhesive on there. And this is gonna go about 1/8 inch from the right-hand side of that Granny Apple Green. And then our focal point, we are going to use some dimensionals, which I don't have here. Where did they go? Here we go. Okay, so we'll just add some dimensionals to the back of this. And then once that's done, we'll add a couple more sequins and then our card will be finished. So this is gonna go on here, and I'm gonna overlap that striped DSP just a little bit. Just like that. I'll use my take your pick tool. I'm gonna pick out a couple more yellow sequins. I want one big one and then one smaller one. And those are gonna go on there. Just use a little bit of Tombow here. The take your pick tool makes it so easy to pick those sequins out of there. There we go. And our card is done, using all sorts of fabulous product that you can get for free with a qualifying purchase. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit subscribe and give me a thumbs up. And if you are in Canada and there's anything that you would like to purchase, I always appreciate your purchases. Feel free to visit my online store and shop there. All right, with your $50 purchase, you'll get a little thank you from me along with a little gift. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Take care, guys.